not mistaken, the question was, what two items that we feel that would be most important to us? And my first item is middle schools. We have to revamp our middle schools and get them working for our children, because at this time they're not. And I would like also to work on special ed. Special ed has to be reformed and taken over to make it worthwhile to put your child into a special ed program where they will get the benefits that they need to succeed in this district. So I'm fighting for middle schools and for special ed.
There have been a number of topics that I have focused on since sitting on the board, but one that I find, or two, the question that I find where a great deal of my focus has gone, and listening to the community and remembering when I sat on this side at board meetings before sitting as a trustee, that in our community we need to build the trust. Our community, and not without cause, sometimes that our community do not trust the board, trustees, and our administration. So with that, a number of the things that I have done in reference to how we conduct our board education meetings, when we go into the executive session, generally we just say to our community that we're going into executive session and that's it. But there are laws. So what I did is that I got those laws, I copied those laws, I emailed those laws out, I gave them to our community because I have no challenge with our community holding us accountable as school board trustee members, as you should, who elect us. And so with that, we have changed, we have progressed. Now that when we go into our executive sessions, we just don't tell our community that we're going into executive session, but we follow the law and tell them why. And we follow the law and tell them what specific topics that we will be discussing for those things that we can't share that's not personnel. Also, in listening to our community, dealing with our children, when we talk about our graduation rate, some of this we have to shoulder as a team. Everybody on the team have their own their weight. What I've done is try to inform, enlighten, educate, and empower our community, our parents, guardians, etc., in reference to your rights, to know the certification, the qualifications of your teachers, the children who will teach your children, because this is how you hold us accountable, the administration, to put the proper teachers before your children. In working with administration in the hiring process, because something we hear from our community that our process sometimes maybe lack integrity. So these are different types of things that I work with administration on in reference to the hiring process for quality children, quality teachers for our children.
I'm not an idiot. The first thing I'm going to do if I'm elected to school board is find out what's going right by learning from the incumbents, the people who've been doing this for longer than I have been. Like I said, we moved here 3 years ago. Before that, we lived in Yonkers for 2 years. Before that, we lived in Inwood in Manhattan. And I think, personally, just what I read in the papers and what I know as a citizen, is that there have been certain things going right lately in the Mount Vernon School District. I think it's very laud-worthy and amazing that the school board unanimously passed a zero increase budget. I think that's incredible, and that deserves applause. So I would like to know how they manage that feat and continue to improve where we need improvement. As everybody knows, I think, as we knew when we moved into the area, we have really great elementary schools in Mount Vernon. We really do. Our middle schools and high schools are not so great, at least in some respects. And I'd like to know, why is there that gap, and why is there this flight, and why are my neighbors leaving to go to other places in Westchester and Connecticut? In terms of a specific thing, I agree that the threat of a state takeover scares me. And we need to make sure that what happened to Davis is not going to happen to other schools in Mount Vernon, like it's happening in Yonkers. We have 7 or 8 schools now in Yonkers being taken over by the state. That doesn't work. Top-down does not work. Schools are inherently a community-driven vehicle. They only work when the community is invested in them, and that means parents, teachers, and the school board. It doesn't mean the state. So I agree that's a big threat that needs to be addressed.
I drive around town, I go to all the schools, I take a look at the state conditions of the schools, and a lot of them are not fit for what we pay in taxes to allow our children to attend. So the two, and there are many things on my list, but two of them being top priority items are, number one, a more tailored education for our children. A lot of times, depending on our backgrounds or who we are or how we learn, we don't all learn in the same way. And right now, a lot of times we're thrown in the same pool. So the kids who are more advanced, if the teacher is a little fast, then they're great. The kids who are a little slow get left behind. If the class is a little slow, the kid who's a little slower, he's getting the attention, but the kid who needs to be more challenged doesn't receive that. So we need to create a curriculum and the proper environment for the children of different needs. We're a very diverse community. We're not like Bronxville or Larchmont that's very homogeneous, where everyone's pretty much the same. We're very diverse, and we have a lot of diverse needs, so we have to address that. Number two, we have to give parents an option here. Right now in Mount Vernon, let me tell you, I walk many streets, many homes, and I'm very attentive, and I spend time speaking to the individuals here, and a lot of them are burdened, they're overburdened with the taxes, and the fact that we're not getting the type of education, the quality of education for the taxes that we pay. And so we need to change that. On average, per student, we spend about $26,000 in Mount Vernon. A good private education, let's say at Ursuline, is about $18,000. Why does it cost less at a private institution, a great private institution, and meanwhile we're paying more here in Mount Vernon, we're not getting the quality? Why? So that's one of the things that's also top of my priority. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
We're up to another question here, and this question is about the individual to a certain extent, and this gives you a chance to talk about yourself. Please share your history, your experience in working with groups of people, collaborating with others for common goal, speaking specifically to your role and the value you added. So you get a chance to talk about those groups that you work with, those kinds of things that you've done, and look forward to the following. 6 to 1. Is that one? So I'll repeat the question again. Please share with us your history and experience of working in a group or collaborating with others for a common goal, speaking specifically to your role and value you added to that group and achieving that common goal.
Sure. Right now I'm currently 48, and I've always owned my own companies. This is my 5th company that I've owned, and they've all been very successful. So I've always been a leader in everything that I do, and I demand and always achieve success in all of my businesses. Currently, I also serve on the planning board here in Mount Vernon, and I believe we've been doing some great work on the planning board to really change and direct the future of Mount Vernon in terms of its infrastructure and buildings and the future plan, the comprehensive plan. Right now, I currently also serve on many other, for example, in my neighborhood, I started and I'm currently also president of the neighborhood association at Chester Hill Park, which is the community right behind the high school where I live. So my role is always a leadership role, and I'm smart enough to know that I'm not the smartest kid in the room. And what makes a great leader is one who's smart enough to know to hire people who are even smarter than he is around him. So that's what I do, and that's my role. Thank you.
One of the most rewarding things I get to do as an attorney is pro bono work, and since I was back in law school, I've done a lot of work in the city. I work in New York City, and I've been involved with a lot of pro bono organizations there, only because I haven't found them up here yet. But free legal services to low and middle income people in the city. And they approached me and asked me to be on their founding board for the associate board for fundraising. And through that, I had lots of great experiences, like doing lots of fundraising and writing minutes and plans of action for the board and everything. But what Leslie said is absolutely right, that what it means to be on a board is to know how to direct the resources to people who can provide even better, even more resources. And I guess that's my experience on a board specifically.
Well, my history and experience is dealing with children. As being the former president of the Mount Vernon Family Child Care Association, I used to be a New York State licensed group family child care provider, had an accredited program by the National Association for Family Child Care, former president of the Westchester County Foster Adoptive Parent Association, so working with the family courts, criminal courts, Westchester County Department of Social Services, also being an additional parent member for Committee on Special Education, Committee on Special Preschool, also as a surrogate parent with the Department of Mental Health for children birth to 3. So working with those different groups is my experience. And for the court system, they, with the family court judge, supervising judgment, Judge Cooney was here, and now Judge Kathy Davison have called on me to help train workers in reference to how to CASA workers, court-appointed service advocates by the county, in order to have them come into homes when families receive child protective services cases, and how to negotiate that, how to help build a relationship between caseworkers and foster parents. As a school, before I became a board member, which is now a conflict of interest for me to sit as an additional, what's called an additional parent member on those different committees that I named in special education, the school district appreciated me being that additional parent member to help those parents navigate the special education system, which can be a quite challenging system, but they really appreciate it because of the fairness that I have, and it's not just about the parents and the children, but it's also about the district, and most importantly about finding the appropriate placement for the children. And so that sometimes smooths that process between the district, and rightfully so, sometimes the angry parents and parents who are emotional about their children. And I, being a parent myself of children in special education, can definitely understand that. So those are some of the roles, some of my experience with children and families within our city, our county, and our state as well, because I travel to do trainings. Thank you.
Well, like I said before, my name is Wanda White. I am a community person. I have won the Mount Vernon Razorbacks for about 18 years. Presently, I'm the coach and a scorekeeper with the youth baseball team. I work in my church. I am the worthy matron of the Eastern Stars in Mount Vernon Progressive Chapter. I have been the president of the Ladies Auxiliary of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm just plain old Mount Vernon person. And I love working with the youth. That's all I can say, really, because I have been involved in this community for as long as I can remember, since my children started playing sports or being part of the school system. My daughter's currently teaching also, so I'm just a Mount Vernon person, so here I am.